Last week, I did something I never thought I'd do. I canceled an entire surprise retirement party for my father-in-law. A party I planned, paid for, organized down to the damn dessert menu. And I canceled it because he looked me in the eyes and said I wasn't part of the family. So, yeah, F asterisk asterisk K that. But let me back up. A year ago, Daniel and I have been married for almost 4 years now. He's 32, I'm 28. We met at a tech conference. I was doing logistics for the event. He was pitching his second startup. He wore Vans to his investor meeting. I knew right then he was either a genius or an idiot. He turned out to be both. We hit it off fast, married within 2 years. Things were great until it came to his family. I knew from the beginning that they didn't love me. I could feel it. The polite smiles that never reached their eyes. The way his sisters whispered when I walked in. How his mom literally moved her wine glass away from me at Thanksgiving like I had a disease. But his dad, Jack O. Jack was special. The kind of man who calls himself a provider, but never says thank you. Big, I built this house with these two hands energy. Even though he inherited it from his dad, he always had this way of talking down to me. Like I was a temp at his company who somehow married the CEO. Still, I wanted to get along. I'm a people person. I hate tension. I hate being the outsider. So I tried. For years, hosting dinners, inviting them over, buying thoughtful birthday gifts, checking in after doctor's appointments. And nothing ever changed. 2 months ago, I found out Jack was officially retiring. After 38 years at the same construction firm, his kids posted about it on Facebook like it was the end of an era. Congrats, Dad, you earned this, blah, blah, blah. But no one was planning anything. No party, no dinner, not even a group gift, just emojis and empty likes. So I said, F asterisk asterisk K it, I'll do it. Daniel warned me not to. He straight up said, they don't like you. L, you don't need to do this. But that's just not who I am. If I see something broken, I fix it. I guess I thought, maybe if I did something big enough, they'd finally see me. Like, really see me. Not as the girl who took their son away, but as someone who actually gives a damn. So I planned the whole damn thing, on my own. I booked Jack's favorite steakhouse, some rustic place he used to take Daniel and the girls when they were little. Reserved the private back room, paid the deposit, designed the invites myself, got custom mini bourbon bottles with his name etched in gold, talked to his ex-coworkers, even that grumpy foreman he used to fight with, and convinced them to show up. It was supposed to be this huge, heartfelt send-off for a man who gave so much to his family, for a man who, despite everything, I still respected. It cost me almost $9,000. That's not including the catered dessert truck I hired at the last minute, because I overheard Jack once say he missed real banana pudding. I even checked with Daniel about which cousins Jack liked and which ones he secretly couldn't stand, just to get the guest list right. I cared that much. His own damn kids didn't even respond to the RSVP email. Last Thursday night, Daniel and I drove over to Jack's house. Just a short stop. I wanted to give him a heads up about the party without spoiling everything. Just a, hey, block this Saturday evening kind of thing. The second we walked in, I knew something was off. His daughters, Kylie and Mia, were already there, sitting at the kitchen island, fake laughing like they were in a rom-com. His son, Ethan, was playing some game on his phone and didn't even look up. Jack was pouring himself a drink. No one said hi to me. I pushed through anyway. I smiled and said, Hey Jack, I just wanted to let you know we've got something planned for you this weekend. Kind of a little surprise to celebrate your retirement. He smiled at Daniel. And then Daniel, bless him, said, Actually, Elle planned the whole thing. It's all her. The room shifted, like someone had sucked the air out of it. Jack's face dropped. Not dramatic, just this tiny, sour twitch around his mouth. And then he said, Well, I appreciate the gesture, but I'd prefer to keep it family only. I blinked. I honestly thought I misheard him. I laughed just a little and said, Oh, no, I mean, it's for you. I won't be giving a speech or anything. He didn't even flinch. It's not about speeches. It's just, I want it to be family. And you've never really fit. There it was, out loud. From the man whose bills my husband paid for years, whose broken-down porch Daniel rebuilt himself last summer, while Jack sat in a lawn chair and barked level at more. I could feel my cheeks burning. The worst part, his kids looked delighted. Kylie even fake coughed into her drink to hide her laugh. I looked at Daniel. He was frozen, hurt, embarrassed. I knew that look, and I just snapped. I said, "Cool. Then let's make it really family only, because I'm canceling everything. Every chair, every plate, every bourbon bottle. You show up at that restaurant, and you'll be met by a locked door and an empty lot." The room went dead silent. I turned, walked out, and didn't look back. We got in the car. Neither of us said a word at first. The kind of silence where you're both trying not to blow up. Daniel finally muttered, "You okay?" I laughed. It wasn't funny, but it came out like that. You tell me. Did I just go nuclear? He didn't answer right away, just stared at the road. Then he said, "I told you not to do it, but you did it for me. I know that." I shrugged, still burning up inside. You think they'll actually show up Saturday, try to throw their own little family-only party at the same place? He looked at me like I'd lost it. After what you said in there, hell no. But I wasn't so sure. That night, I tried to cancel the reservation. Too late. I'd lose the deposit and still be charged for half the catering. They'd already smoked the brisket. Whatever, let it burn. So I did the next best thing. I sent out a mass text to everyone I'd invited Jack's coworkers, the neighbors, even Uncle Tony from Florida, who only comes north if it's worth the miles. I told them the party was off, that there'd been a change of plans. Most of them were pissed. Understandably, flights were booked, babysitters arranged, outfits dry cleaned, but I didn't care anymore. Not after what happened. A few people asked why. I didn't answer. Let them gossip. By midnight, I'd gone from furious to emotionally numb. I sat on the floor with a bottle of wine and deleted the Canva file with the custom invite I spent 3 hours designing. I even had a little photo collage set up Jack in his work vest, holding baby Daniel, helping build the family cabin. I trashed all of it. Daniel came out of the bedroom, sat next to me, and handed me a slice of cold pizza. "I know you feel stupid right now," he said, "but I'm glad you did it." "Did what?" "Tried." He kissed my head and went back to bed. I didn't follow. I just sat there staring at the email from the event decorator, asking if I still wanted the mini "Thank You Jack" banner. Screw that. The next morning, I got a text from Kylie. "Can't believe you ruined Dad's retirement just because you weren't the center of attention. Selfish much." I stared at the screen for a full minute, then typed, "You're welcome." Didn't send it. Didn't respond at all. I screenshotted the message, saved it in a folder labeled "Shit They'll Deny Later." Then I poured myself some coffee and started texting my friends. If I was going to lose thousands of dollars on a venue I couldn't cancel, I was going to use it. I invited my girls, my coworkers, Daniel's college buddies, even my tattoo artist. I told them I had this rustic chic event hall, open bar, Texas-style BBQ, and an industrial coffee cart with oat milk options. No dress code, no speeches, just fun. Daniel asked if we should still change the decor. "Hell yes," I said. "I'm not partying under a giant poster of your dad's face." So we ripped it all down. The golden 38 years of legacy banner, gone. The slideshow of Jack in hard hats and steel-toed boots, deleted. We swapped it with a photo reel of everyone's dogs. People love dogs. We even kept the bourbon favors. Just replaced the tags with little stickers that said, "Cheers, bitches." Honestly, it felt good, like reclaiming something. The night of the non-retirement party. I showed up in black boots, leather pants, and a deep red blazer I'd been saving for a night that never came. The energy was wild. Everyone who came knew something had gone down, but no one cried. They just drank, danced, and devoured burnt ends like it was a wedding after party. Daniel pulled me aside at one point and said, "You realize you basically hosted a revenge rager, right?" Better than crying at home. We made it back around 2 a.m. I posted a few pictures online. Not a flex, just casual shots, laughter, and barrels of bourbon. The sign someone made that said retirement is a state of mind. I tagged no one. Said nothing. Just let the images speak. Cue meltdown. Kylie texted first. You're disgusting. You know how much that restaurant meant to Dad? You turned it into a F asterisk asterisk king frat party. Then Mia chimed in, "Why do you always have to make things about you?" I didn't respond. I didn't even read the rest. Blocked them both. The day after, Daniel sat me down, said his mom had called, crying, said I was turning him against the family and manipulating him with sex and sympathy. He rolled his eyes so hard, I thought they might get stuck. "I'm done, Elle," he said. "I don't want anything to do with them." I looked at him carefully. "Are you sure you mean that?" He nodded. "I should have cut them off years ago, but you kept trying to fix things. I didn't want to make it harder for you." I exhaled, long and slow. Then I said, "They're going to blame me anyway. Might as well earn it." A few days passed. We didn't hear from them. No calls, no texts, just digital silence. I thought maybe, finally, we had some peace, until Jack called. He didn't even greet me, just said, "You poisoned my son." I put him on speaker. Daniel heard everything. Jack ranted about how I was the problem, how I had ruined the family, how I was ungrateful for everything he did for Daniel growing up. Then, the cherry on top, he said Daniel owed you what Daniel snapped. "My support, your success. You wouldn't have made it without the foundation I gave you." I swear, my blood went cold. Daniel clenched his jaw, then said, "I built everything I have in spite of you, not because of you." Jack scoffed. "You used the money from the house sale." "The inheritance?" "What inheritance? You mean the $4,000 Mom had in a savings bond?" Silence. "You're lucky I paid your mortgage those 3 years," Daniel continued. "Lucky I didn't make you sign something." Jack laughed. "Don't get cocky, son. You wouldn't last a day without me." That's when I stepped in. "Then maybe it's time we test that," I said, and hung up. I turned to Daniel. "You okay?" He didn't answer, just walked to the fridge, grabbed a beer, and sat on the couch. Then he whispered, "They don't even like each other. Elle, they just like controlling me." I sat beside him, not touching, just being there. I've spent years thinking if I just worked harder, earned more, proved myself, they'd finally respect me. He paused, but I think they just liked watching me work for it. I reached for his hand. "We don't owe them anything," I said. He didn't say it back, but he squeezed my fingers. Hard. The silence didn't last long. That weekend, Jack showed up, unannounced, at our front door, with his 3 grown-ass kids behind him like they were storming the damn beaches. I opened the door in pajama pants and a hoodie that said I paused my game to be here. I was holding coffee, still groggy, didn't even get a high. Jack went straight into it. "We need to talk, all of us." Daniel came up behind me. He hadn't shaved in 2 days and looked like he'd barely slept. When he saw who was there, he muttered under his breath, "Jesus Christ." Kylie tried to push past me. I put my hand on the frame. "Try me," I said. "This isn't your house," she snapped. I looked her dead in the face. "That's hilarious, because the deed says otherwise." Jack cleared his throat. "Daniel, tell your wife to stop acting like this." Daniel didn't move. He said, "If you're here to yell, go back to the car." Mia pouted. "We came to talk like adults." "Oh, really? Did that come before or after your text calling Elle a manipulative bitch?" I asked. Ethan laughed under his breath. "You're being dramatic." Daniel's jaw tightened. I could see it. His hands were balled up, knuckles white. He was trying not to explode. So I stepped in. "All right, let's talk like adults. You're on our property at 9 a.m. on a Sunday, yelling about a party that never belonged to you." Jack crossed his arms. "I spent my life building this family, and now it's torn apart because of you." Daniel finally snapped. "No, Dad, it's torn apart because you only care about control." Kylie scoffed. "Control? You make 6 figures. You married who you wanted? How the hell did we control anything?" "You controlled what he felt allowed to do." I said, "Every time he tried to make a decision for himself, one of you guilted him, or twisted it, or made him feel like shit for it." Jack stepped forward. "You don't get to talk to me like that. And you don't get to gaslight your son on my porch." Then he dropped the bomb. "If you don't fix this, I'm cutting ties. Permanently." Daniel looked him right in the eyes. Good. There was a beat of silence, like the air froze. Mia's mouth dropped open. Kylie whispered, "You don't mean that." Daniel's voice was low, steady. "I've meant it for a while. I just didn't say it." Jack turned red. "You ungrateful little... Get off our porch." Ethan muttered something about family betrayal, but honestly, I was done listening. I stepped back, slammed the door, and locked it. Daniel leaned against the wall. Didn't speak for a while. "Eventually," he whispered. "I feel like I just buried them." I nodded. They buried themselves a long time ago. We didn't talk about it the rest of the day. We ordered takeout, watched reruns of The Office. I rubbed his back while he fell asleep. I thought maybe that was it. It wasn't. 2 days later, a letter showed up, certified mail. From Jack. Actually, from Jack's lawyer. He was suing Daniel, claiming that Daniel misappropriated inherited family assets and used joint estate funds for personal gain. Basically, he was trying to say Daniel stole money from him to build his business. I stared at the paper like it was in a different language. Daniel laughed. A bitter, exhausted kind of laugh. "What assets?" he muttered. "There was no *** king inheritance. I paid off their damn second mortgage while working 2 jobs. We called a lawyer. Our lawyer asked if we had documentation. Boy, did we... Receipts, bank statements, texts where Jack literally begged for help. Venmo transfers labeled groceries and property taxes. One message from Kylie asking if Daniel could float Ethan a few grand so he doesn't have to Uber anymore. We printed everything. Our lawyer said, this case won't hold, but it'll be noisy. And it was... Jack leaked it to the rest of the family. Started spreading rumors that Daniel cut them off after taking their money. That I isolated him and brainwashed him into thinking they were toxic. Suddenly, we were the villains. People we barely knew were posting cryptic crap on Facebook. Jack's cousin Judy wrote, "Sad when some people forget who raised them." But karma works. Mia posted an Instagram story with a black screen and the words, "Some people only love you when they need you." I rolled my eyes so hard, I swear they made a sound. Daniel told me not to read any of it, but I did. Every post, every comment. And I saved every single one. Not out of spite, out of insurance. If they wanted war, fine. But I'd do it my way. Quiet, strategic, ruthless. Our lawyer countersued for defamation. We included the texts, screenshots, false claims, and reputation damage. Turns out, trying to smear the name of a small business owner isn't just shady, it's actionable. Suddenly, Jack went quiet. For about a week. Then he tried to call. Daniel didn't answer. So Jack tried me. I let it ring. Then he texted, "This has gone too far. Can we talk?" "Nope. You burned the bridge. You don't get to ask for shade." By the time court rolled around, the energy had shifted. Jack came in looking worn down. His lawyer was tense. Ours calm as hell. The judge wasn't amused by their claims, especially when we produced records showing Daniel actually lost money helping them. That there was no will, no trust, no estate. Just a lot of entitlement. The suit was dismissed. Our countersuit stuck. Jack had to pay damages. Not a huge sum, but enough to sting. More than that, he had to issue a public retraction. An email went out to the entire family, typed by his lawyer. It read, "The previous statements made by Jack S. regarding his son and daughter-in-law were false and made without legal basis. We regret the confusion caused." That was it. No apology. No admission of guilt. But I printed it anyway, framed it, put it on a shelf in our office under a little sign that says, "Receipts matter." Daniel didn't laugh. He just said, "You're terrifying." And then, finally, he smiled. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. I wasn't happy. I wasn't proud. I was just free, I whispered. "You okay into the dark?" Daniel whispered back. I don't think I ever knew what peace felt like until now. I reached for his hand. We didn't say another word, just held on. Like people who finally let go of a lie. I thought it would stop after the lawsuit. You know, once they lost in court. Once a judge literally said, "There's no merit here." I figured they'd just slink away and move on with their lives. Yeah, no, that would have made too much sense. 3 days after the court ruling, Daniel got another email, this time from his mom. It was a full essay. No greeting, no subject line, just a wall of text that read like one of those long Facebook status updates from divorced aunts in pyramid schemes. She said she was devastated, that she didn't raise him to be like this, that he'd let a stranger destroy a family 30 years in the making. Stranger, she meant me. She said I'd wormed my way into his life and manipulated him with sex and ambition. She closed with, "Your father cried last night. Hope you're happy." Daniel didn't even read the whole thing, just deleted it. But I read it. Twice. And saved it. Again, insurance. You'd think that would have been the end of it. But nope, that was just level 2. Because when they couldn't get to Daniel anymore, they came for me. Kylie started posting passive-aggressive garbage all over social. Screenshots of party photos from other people's retirements with captions like, "This is what love looks like." Mia followed me on TikTok, then unfollowed, then followed again. Just weird enough to be petty, not enough to look stalkery. And then came the messages. I got 4 missed calls in one day from an unknown number. Then a voicemail. It was Jack. His voice was tired, but not apologetic. He said, "You've ruined everything. I hope you know that. You've taken my son. You've taken my pride." What kind of woman does that? I didn't even flinch. I'd heard worse. But that night, I had a dream. That Jack was sitting at our dinner table, drinking Daniel's scotch, saying, "This was supposed to be mine." I woke up in a sweat. Not from fear, from rage. Because even in my sleep, that man still thought he owned us. Daniel saw me pacing the kitchen at 3 a.m. and didn't ask. He just handed me water. "I want to block them on everything." I said, "Do it," he replied. "But if I do that, they'll just find another way." He looked me in the eyes. "Then maybe it's time we get serious." We called our lawyer again. I asked about cease and desist letters, restraining orders, anything that drew a hard legal line. He said it was doable, but, he added, "You need to document everything." Already done. I had a Google Drive folder titled "Just in Case," screenshots, voicemails, social posts, texts, all time-stamped, all backed up. We drafted the paperwork. We blocked every number. And I made my socials private. Still, I felt invaded. Every time I picked up my phone, I half expected another attack. I started checking windows, not like in a paranoid way, just enough to clock my surroundings. I told Daniel, "I hate this. I hate that they live rent-free in my head." "You're not paranoid," he said. "You're protecting yourself." But protection wasn't enough anymore. I wanted to reclaim the narrative. So I posted a single note to my story. It said, "I don't owe anyone my silence, or my forgiveness, and certainly not my peace." No names, no tags, but the message was received. Within an hour, Mia texted Daniel, "Tell your wife to stop subtweeting the family. Grow up." Daniel didn't reply. I laughed so hard I almost choked. "You okay?" he asked, watching me wipe tears. "Yeah," I said. "Actually, yeah, I'm good." But the laughter didn't last long, because that Sunday, while Daniel was at the gym, someone rang our doorbell. I checked the camera. It was Jack. Alone this time, standing there in his brown leather jacket like nothing had happened. I didn't open the door, just watched. He stood there for almost 2 full minutes. Didn't knock, didn't speak, just waited. Then he turned and left. I told Daniel when he got home. He froze mid-step. "You serious?" "Dead serious." We called our lawyer again. He added it to the file. Then we installed a second camera. Daniel wanted to install floodlights and a full alarm system. I told him, "We're not prepping for war. We're reinforcing peace." But still, yeah, we installed them. The next week, I went back to work like normal, tried to shake off the tension, act like life was life again. But then I got an email from HR. Apparently, someone had called the office anonymously and accused me of misusing company time and resources to plan personal events. They couldn't prove anything, obviously, because it wasn't true, but still it made my hands shake. That wasn't just petty anymore. That was career sabotage. I went into the break room, locked the door, sat on the floor, and cried, not because I was scared, because I was tired. I didn't want to fight anymore. Didn't want to check corners or wonder who was watching or deal with one more toxic text from a person who thought blood meant forever leash. Daniel came and picked me up early. I told him what happened. He didn't say a word. He just drove straight to his parents' old house. It was quiet, no cars out front. But he still walked up and taped a letter to the door. When he got back in the car, he said that was the last word. I asked what the letter said. He told me, unless there's a funeral or a birth, we are not family. Don't contact us again. I exhaled. That's cold. It's clear, he said. And he was right. Sometimes clarity is cold. But it's also clean. After that, things started to shift. We moved the cameras to a less obvious spot, took down the court documents from the fridge, stopped checking Jack's socials, started talking about future trips, vacations, a backyard renovation. We even talked about maybe someday having kids. And what kind of parents we'd be. Daniel said, I just don't want to turn into him. You won't, I said, because you already broke the cycle. He looked at me, eyes glassy, and whispered, Thank you. I didn't know what to say, so I just hugged him. Hard, longer than I usually do, because I think we both knew we survived something. And survival deserves acknowledgement. Not fanfare, just quiet truth. We didn't expect peace to feel so weird. For a while, everything was just quiet. No more texts, no voicemails, no shady social media digs. It was like someone had hit mute on the chaos. I kept waiting for something, anything to explode again, but nothing did. The silence was unsettling at first, but slowly, it started to feel like breathing. Our house wasn't holding its breath. Daniel took a few days off work and surprised me with a road trip. Just the two of us, 2 duffel bags, and his ridiculous playlist of 2000s punk. We drove along the coast, stopped at places that looked weird or cool or just had good fries. We didn't talk about Jack, the lawyers, court. We just existed. It felt like taking our lives off airplane mode. We ended up staying at this cheap beach motel where the walls were so thin we could hear the next room's arguments about shrimp cocktail. And we didn't care. We laughed about it over a bottle of gas station wine and ate takeout on the bed like teenagers. One night, Daniel looked at me and said, You know what the hardest part of all this was? What? I kept hoping they'd love you. I blinked. What? I mean, I knew they were shit. But part of me kept hoping if they saw how smart you are, how loyal, how much you cared they'd finally get it. He paused, swallowed hard. But they never even tried. I didn't know what to say to that. Because yeah, that was the part that hurt most. Not the yelling, not the lawsuits. The total indifference to who I really was. I leaned against him. He wrapped his arm around me. And we just sat there, letting the silence fill in everything words couldn't fix. After we got home, things stayed chill. I redecorated the office, painted over the ugly gray with this warm olive green that made the room feel like a hug. Daniel bought a punching bag. Said it was for cardio, but I knew better. Some nights, I'd hear him in there at 1 a.m., unleashing every ounce of buried anger into that thing like it owed him money. Whatever worked, we started hosting more, not big parties, just dinners, game nights, movie marathons with close friends. The kind of people who never asked questions but brought dessert anyway. One night, my best friend Jules leaned over during dinner and whispered, You seem lighter. You good. And for the first time in what felt like years, I answered honestly, Yeah, I really am. We even started seeing a couples therapist, not because we were struggling, but because we wanted to make sure we didn't carry their shit into our future. Dr. Patel was this chill, no-nonsense woman who wore Doc Martens and called bullshit when she saw it. First session, she said, You two have been at war for too long. It's time to unlearn survival mode. I liked her instantly. Every Tuesday, we sat in her office talking about things like boundaries, loyalty, trauma bonds, stuff that made me realize how deep this thing had run. How much of my self-worth I'd tied into being liked, accepted, needed. She said something that stuck with me. Sometimes revenge is just reclaiming your time. I wrote it down, put it on a sticky note above my desk. Life wasn't perfect, but it was real. Stable? Soft. Until last Thursday. I was coming back from the grocery store, just a normal day, got the good oat milk, remembered Daniel's weird flavored almonds, Even found the special lavender soap we both liked. I pulled into the driveway, humming to myself. And there she was, sitting on our front steps. Daniel's mom, Linda. I froze. Literally just sat in the car for a full minute with my hand on the gear shift. She looked older, tired, like the past year had knocked the wind out of her. She stood when she saw me, hands clasped in front of her, like she was about to pray or confess a murder. I got out slowly, didn't say anything. She opened with, "I just want to talk." Of course she did. I stayed by the car. "Daniel's not home." "I know. I came to see you." I raised an eyebrow. "That's bold. I deserve that." "No, see, you don't get to decide what you deserve anymore." She flinched. I need you to understand. We weren't trying to hurt you." I laughed, loud. "Lady, you sued us." "I didn't want that." "You didn't stop it." She stepped forward. "I lost everything. My son, my family. People won't speak to me. They all think I'm some monster." I crossed my arms. "Actions have consequences." She looked down. "I made mistakes." "You made choices," I snapped. "There's a difference." Linda looked up, eyes glassy. "Is there any way to fix this?" I stared at her, really looked, and for the first time, I didn't see a villain. I saw a hollow woman who built her worth on control and lost everything when that control slipped. But that didn't mean I owed her anything. I said, "You don't get a redemption arc just because you're tired." She looked like she might cry. "I didn't care. I'm not saying this to hurt you," I added, "but I'm not your cleanup crew, and I'm done handing out forgiveness like Halloween candy." She nodded, said nothing. I walked past her, up the steps, unlocked the door. Before I went in, I looked back. "One last thing," I said. She looked up. "If you ever show up here uninvited again, we'll call the cops. I don't care if you're bleeding on the lawn." She didn't argue, just nodded once. I closed the door behind me. Daniel came home 20 minutes later. I told him everything. He didn't say much, just sat beside me on the couch and held my hand. "She looked bad," I said quietly. "She made her bed." I didn't yell. "I know." I exhaled. "I think that was the last time." "I hope so," he said. And for once, I believed him.